I suppose, sort of exciting when you put it that way. It makes it kind of interesting. But it's just kind of normal, I guess. So, like Arlene said, I wanted to come back, and I'm happy that I was invited, so thank you very much. And what I wanted to do today is just kind of remind you about what HUSA is. Last time I was here, I kind of just told you what our projects were going to be for last year, so I'm going to tell you how they turned out. And I just kind of want to show you a little bit more kind of what life is like in HUSA. So the presentation that I'm using today, I use a lot at the schools. I kind of updated it so I can talk about more adult things, I suppose, because usually I'm like, pick out the color of the continent. But
that's probably more about the
well, we do know Tanzania is in East Africa. And so, yes, I am Nara, and I've been working with HUSA since 2005. So when I graduated high school from Joplin, I decided that I needed to do something because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really want to go to university. And so I went to Tanzania, just kind of on a whim, and I had a relative that lived there, and I loved it. It was a beautiful, beautiful country, and when I was working in the city, I met somebody who was from a small village, and they said, Sarah, you have no idea what Tanzania is like until you've been to the village. And so he took me there, and man, was he right. Tanzania is, like I said, a beautiful, beautiful country, and the people were fantastic. But when I went to the village, one thing that really stood out is that a huge amount of poverty, and totally different from where the city I was at. There was no resources whatsoever, no organizations coming in. All the major organizations that we know about that give out beds and stuff in Tanzania, most of them work in big urban centers or nearby those big cities. And the village that I work at in HUSA is very rural. And so we have a road, and people just fly right through there and don't stop. And so a lot of the major resources and things is really hard to get in the village. And another issue is we have a high prevalence of HIV, and that's why HUSA started. So in 2005, when I first went there, I met a woman, and she was trying to take care of some of these kids that were living on the street or living with relatives or had a mom that was still really, really ill, and they were trying to do something. And so this woman and a couple of her friends pulled together this small income that they were making from their farms and was trying to give back, whether it was like bread, soap, just some support, whatever they could. And I was really inspired by that. I thought that was really cool. We always learn in school, the power of one, and just one person can make a difference. And here there was this truly amazing group that was trying to do that. And so I said that, I didn't know when I was going to come back, but we needed to get some things sorted out, and they wanted to register as an orphanage, and I said I'll come back. And I did. In 2007, they were registered as a Tanzanian orphanage. They had made up their goals, and I sat down with them. And I think that that's really important. Is I like to highlight that it didn't come from me. I'm working with some really amazing people, and the idea of this center came from the community, because it was the community's needs. And so that's how HUSA started. So the woman that I met there, she's the one sitting down on the front, and then her name is Hanifa. We call her Mama Bora. So in Tanzania, everyone is called Mama something or Sister something. And so her name is Mama Bora. The lady behind her is BT Ali. She doesn't have kids, so she's not a mama. And the man on the bike is Moody. And he's our treasurer and in-house guardian. He lives with the children full time. When I met him in 2005, he was probably in his 20s, and he wanted to do something so bad for these kids. He started his own family while he was with HUSA, and he's been with us ever since, and the kids really respect him. They actually call him Wali Moody, which means teacher Moody, because they believe that he's teaching them so much, and I do too. He's really awesome. So that's our main people. And so when I met HUSA in 2005, they had 20 kids, and then when I came back in 2007, there was about 40 kids, and not a single one of them was in school. And the reason they weren't in school is because there's a barrier there. Government schools in Kimamba, that's all we have, require you to have black shoes, uniforms, and cut hair. All of that requires money, and they didn't have any. And none of the people that were running the center were able to afford that. So one of the main goals that I had right off the bat was that we wanted to get all the kids in school. We wanted to make sure they all had shoes, and that they all had a place to live, and that they were going to get 3 meals a day. So I came back, I did this sort of thing. I went to John Allen High School, and they raised a bunch of money, and that was the first thing we did. We were able to rent a building. So I'm going to just skip over this. This is just some pictures of what the village looks as much as we could, and it turned out kind of like this. So this was our building. There was a kitchen off to the side. It wasn't very big. It was what we could afford at the time, and it allowed the kids to have a place to stay, a safe place, and that was really important because a lot of the kids were either living in foster kind of set-up homes or they were living on the street. So we lived here until 2011, and we had to move out of this place because we literally couldn't fit a bed into the building. We had beds that were about this wide, and we had 3 kids sleeping to a bed. So it was really, really crowded. Not only that, the roof was kind of caving in, and there were bugs coming down that would suck your blood at night. Not the funnest. So we really couldn't stay here. So again, I came home, and our main goal right at the beginning was we needed to build a house, and this is what we did. So in 2011, with some really amazing people, we were able to build this house. And I'm really proud. All the kids were with us the whole time. They helped design it. I asked the kids, how many bathrooms should we have and what shape should the bedrooms be in and that sort of thing. So we have 2 big bedrooms, one for the smaller girls and one for the smaller boys. And we made a room for some of the older kids as well, which we think was kind of important, although it's going to get everyone's going to be too old soon. But we have a big sitting room, and we have a room for our in-house guardian, and at the back we had a kitchen. And so this was one of our major accomplishments. It took a lot of time, and it was like really stressful, and a lot of kind of not so amazing things happened, but at the same time we got it done, and we're really happy. So after that, we decided we really need to work on sustainability. So last time I was here, this is what I talked to you about. In 2012, that was our goals. We really wanted to find something that we could maintain and make some income off of, whether or not it's going to cover our whole budget, which we knew it probably wouldn't, but at least it would cover a good portion of it. And so what the Guardians of HUSA came up with is that they wanted to start their own farm. We asked for cows, goats, chickens, to plant a garden, and that's what we needed to do. But before that, we needed to build a fence. And that cost quite a bit of money, so we were able to do that. Let's get these 2. These are our bedrooms. So this is the fence that we were able to build. And this is are the shelters as well. So these are our shelters here going up. We had to build these and so that we had enough room for all the animals, and we had enough land. The government actually donated the land for us to build on, which was really kind of them. So we made our fence. The kids were super excited. They wanted to advertise, this is HUSA, and put their painted hands all over it. It was kind of fun. And then after that, we started shopping, and so we ended up going to get some goats. We bought 7 goats. And the Rotary donated money for a cow, and you might have remembered that. One thing that we kind of came across is that, well, we got a lot of donations for cows. People, would send them through online, and I got probably donations for about 4 or 5 cows. We didn't have enough room, let alone people to actually take care of that. So what we ended up doing with the Rotary money is we used it for goats and to build a shelter. And I hope you guys are okay with that, but it ended up being really good in the end. We're going to send...
Oh, you want those goats back.
Sorry. So we got 7 goats. We had 1 male, 6 females. I'm happy to announce that we just had a baby goat just last week, a little boy, which is awesome. And it's kind of cool because one of the neat things is that the kids really took ownership actually of the goats. Out of all the animals and anything else that all the chores they had to do, they were they each had a goat that they would tie up in the morning and take out to the field and to bring them back in. They all had their goat. They all named them. We had the names are at the top. We had goat named Spot, Billy, Beanie, Cow. We named one of our goats Cow.
I'm sitting beside an old goat if you'd like to.
So we were also able to get cows, and we did start off with 2 cows. The black, the kids named Mrs. And she is actually pregnant right now. And the other cow, the white cow we got, she was kind of a troublemaker. And when we bought her from a Maasai, which is a tribal land, and they never enclose their animals. They just live freely in the wild. Well, when we bought her and we put her in here, she did not like that. So she broke down the wall, broke down the door, jumped over the fence. It we spent 2 of our donations on 1 cow, and which was awesome. Now she is also pregnant again, so we'll end up with 5 cows, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that's our cows. And so we expect that we'll be making enough milk off of them that we can sell to even provide food for the day. At the very least, we want the kids to drink milk. I don't think they've ever had milk since we were able to start there. It's quite expensive. Not only that, we have eggs and chickens and lots of meat, and which is awesome. We can sell that. And so I'm going to hand out after my website so that you can see what, you can go on the website and kind of see how much we are hoping to make from our projects last year, and then what our budget's like this year. So, and how far a donation could go. So if you look here, like we use about 8 sacks of maize a month. It's actually going up a little bit with kids getting older. And also inflation every year drives the cost way up. 2 years ago there was a flooding in Kimamba that wiped out all the fields, and so there was absolutely like no food in the whole village. And last year there was a drought, and so again there was no food. So all of our prices are always fluctuating. But even a donation of $1 could buy a kilo of rice. So that's how far your money can go. So that's HUSA. And I'm going to show you. I did this out of order, so apologize. I was just going to kind of point this out as well. I kind of thought this was interesting. So you can see our fence being built in the back there. And so one of the things also, we had an issue when we moved into the house, there's no water. There's never water in the village. Everyone has taps. You turn them on, you'll never get water. And it has to do with corruption and the government and all sorts of things. So the government only turn the water on for 1 hour a day. It's usually at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so a lot of people, including ourselves, before we were given some water tanks, we had to go out and find a tap, one of the public taps, and we'd line up. And you could be lined up for an hour and never get water because everyone lines up there. So water was a huge issue. But before we were doing that, we would also go down to the creek. That was the only other place you could get water. And you can just imagine the kind of things that are growing in there. And after I did my course in tropical nursing, I will not let the kids go down there again. So we were able to get a donation. The government donated this, and which was very kind of them. Big, beautiful tank, lots of taps. The only thing is that you have to use electricity to pump it out of the ground. We never have electricity, so I don't even know why they would build this, but that's okay. Thank you. So we had this beautiful tank and never filled it up because we didn't have electricity, and when we did, it's really expensive. Last year we had an engineer actually come and volunteer with us, which is awesome, and they kind of made us some sort of gravity system. When we had built the house, the government was going through a plan where they said, oh, we're going to have water and electricity all the time, and etc. So we put in shower heads, and of course that didn't work. So now we can run our shower heads with the water off of this, so a gravity pump. And then I'll just leave this few words. Then we were given an actual pump from well water, which has been fantastic. The water is basically clean, but we still have to treat it. And so I'll just show you, this is the kids on the first day that we got it. If it works. Alright. And one of the other things that we try to do at HUSA is we try to make sure that the kids have, a lot of fun. I don't think that a lot of kids in Kimamba, and let alone Tanzania, have the opportunity to really express themselves. Girls aren't encouraged to play, so when the boys go and play soccer, the girls don't ever get to go along. So we try to bring that in. I'm not trying to change anybody's culture or anything like that, but we try to let the kids have some sort of platform where they can express themselves, whether it's art, dance, music, writing, anything like that. So a couple times we have brought out music teachers who have taught traditional dance and drumming, and actually a big festival that happens in all of Africa is called African Child Day. It happens in June, and we were invited to one of the ceremonies. The kids wrote their own songs for this festival, and it was called Africa, Africa, and it was all about the children of Africa and the sufferings of AIDS orphans and how they're struggling. I thought it was a really moving thing, and we were invited to go and sing it. So it's pretty cool for the kids to get that opportunity. Another thing probably seen on TV. They drive them around and they just make them out of things, but it's actually pretty innovative. And so some of our boys have been making them and asked me to bring them back and sell them. And at first I thought, who would buy this? But it's really cool. And so I've been auctioning them off, and the boys wanted originally that if we could sell them, that we could buy jerseys for their soccer team, which I did, so we sold all the things. And this year they wanted me to sell them so we could buy school backpacks. But I'm so thankful that somebody from Stony Plain actually donated a bunch of backpacks. So now I don't have to worry about that. The kids are all going to get school backpacks for the first time, which is going to be really cool. So at HUSA, our major costs are basically education. We have 11 students right now that are in high school, and it costs between $200 and $250 for one high school student for a year, including all their food, school fees, uniforms, shoes, supplies, and that sort of thing. And that's a huge cost for us. Other children are getting older, and they're all getting into high school, which we're so happy about, and that's one of the major costs for us. We have 52 children at HUSA. 21 are girls and 30 are boys. Our youngest is a year and a half years old, and she came to us. Her mom was actually killed, and they didn't know if this child had any other relatives. They heard of a cousin that lived in our village, and they just put a baby on a bus with a note attached to it, and this cousin got this little baby. And she was unable to care for this child. She had about 5 kids all on her own. So right now we can't take care of young children, so what we do is we're supplying the money for the formula and the diapers and that sort of thing for the child. Our oldest boy is 18 years old, and a lot of people that I tell that to kind of say, well, you know, isn't that time for him to be on his own? But at the same time, he didn't actually know his birthday. None of the kids at HUSA know their birthday, and most of them don't ever have birth certificates. So you have to pay to get your birth certificate when the mother has her child, and a lot of them didn't get that. So Hamza, his name, when he was in grade 7, he met a distant cousin who had all these documents from when his mom died and had his birthday in it. And he found out he was 18 years old, but he couldn't tell anybody because if the government found out he was 18 years old in grade 7, they would have kicked him out. So he waited until he was in high school, and now he's in Form 2. We're really excited for him. One of our major goals at HUSA is that we want to see all the kids get a high school education. If they just get to Form 4 education, there's 6 levels. If they get to Form 4, they can be a nurse, a teacher, a mechanic, an electrician. If they just get to there. If they don't complete that examination in Form 4, they cannot get a job in any of those fields. So that's what we want to see. Life is tough in Kimamba. The education system is really, really poor. Out of 185 students last year, only 2 graduated from their Form 4 exams. And so that leaves a lot of kids without hope. And that's one of the things that I've really noticed, is that a lot of girls especially feel like there's no point. What if they don't get to high school, if they don't pass their primary test to get into high school, then what's the point? There's a lot of issues there with the empowerment of girls, and that's one of the things that HUSA wants to work on. We don't want to see that happen. And if a young girl gets pregnant at a young age while she's in school, again, she's kicked out of school, and she's not allowed to go back to school. You have to go to a private school, which is over $1,000 Canadian a year, so you can imagine how many people can afford that. So, yeah. I think that's it. I've talked a lot. I kind of went on a rant there, I apologize. Does anyone have any questions? I'd love to answer them and probably confuse you all. Yeah?
Just one request, if you can get in touch with Tony, or Tony,
Yeah.
he can post those YouTube links on
Sure,
our site, so you
sure.
can follow.
And again, I'm going to pass around this book, and inside of it is a little brochure with a little blurb about what we do, and my website, and most of the videos are on the website as well. They're just, like I said, I do a lot of talks at the schools, which is kind of fun, so I like to show the elementary kids kind of how HUSA kids live, and vice versa. So, yeah, any other questions?
How many years have you been going now?
6. Well, I've been working with them for 7, 2005. Anyways, I've been to Tanzania 6 times. This is the first year in about 4 years I'm not going. It's it's really hard for me and them, I'm sure, but yeah, so I think they're doing really well, and that's what I really wanted to come and say to you guys is, you guys, helped us out with the donation again with our sustainability projects last year, and that's meant a ton for us. I feel that HUSA is doing really, really well. The kids are healthy, they're going to school, we're seeing some income generation, so I don't have to, fundraise as much as I have been, and I'm really proud of that, and that was the whole goal right from the beginning, is eventual sustainability, and so I feel like they're doing really good right now, so no big projects this year. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.